My name's Daniel, and this happened during my sophomore year of college. I had just moved into my first off-campus apartment, and I was trying to furnish the place without going broke. The last thing I needed was a desk, something simple so I wouldn't have to keep doing homework on my bed. I started scrolling through Craigslist, even though the site always gave me a weird feeling. A lot of the listings looked sketchy, but then I found it. A dark wooden desk, a little worn, but free. The post said, "Moving out. First come, first served." The pictures looked normal. The house in the background looked normal. I texted the number listed. "Is the desk still available?" They replied almost instantly, "Yes, come tonight. Address is in the post." I figured the fast response was a good thing. I didn't think twice. The sun had just gone down when I got in my car. I remember how quiet the neighborhood was when I pulled in. Big yards, tall trees, long driveways. Every house looked like it belonged to an older family, not the kind of place where something crazy would happen. The address took me to a 2-story home with lights on inside and a car in the driveway. Nothing looked abandoned or suspicious. I walked up and knocked on the front door. No answer. I knocked again. Still nothing. I pulled out my phone and texted, "I'm here." Again, the reply was instant. "Back door's open. Come in." I knew that should have been a red flag, but I convinced myself the guy was busy packing or had bad hearing or something. So I walked around the side yard. The back door was cracked open, just slightly. A thin strip of light glowed through the gap. Inside, every light in the first floor was on. The place didn't look messy or vacant, just weirdly still. I called out, "Hello? I'm here for the desk." No response. The desk was exactly where it was in the pictures. Same scratches, same angle. But the scratches looked different up close. They weren't the random scuffs of something being moved around. They were long, straight gouges, all running in the same direction, like someone had scraped metal across it repeatedly with a lot of force. I bent down and lifted one end to see how heavy it was. The lights went out. All of them. At the same time. For a second, I didn't move. I didn't breathe. My phone screen lit up just enough for me to see a faint outline of the room. Then I heard it. Footsteps upstairs, slow, heavy, deliberate. One step, a long pause. Another step. I didn't call out again. I didn't ask who was there. I just backed toward the door, moving as quietly as I could, praying the person upstairs didn't hear me. The footsteps stopped. The silence that followed felt colder than anything. I turned and walked out of the door as calmly as I could, until I was far enough away from the house. Then I ran. I got into my car, locked the doors, and sped home without looking back once. When I finally got home, I checked the Craigslist post again. It was gone. But the same account had already posted a new listing. Same house, different free item, and the title said, "Back door still open." I barely slept that night. Every time I started drifting off, the sound of those footsteps replayed in my head. That slow, heavy pacing, the sudden stop, the way all the lights cut out the second I touched the desk. None of it made sense, and that somehow made it worse. I kept refreshing the Craigslist page over and over, trying to convince myself I had imagined the new listing, but it stayed there. Same username, same house, same exact writing style. The only thing that changed was the item being offered. Now it was a free wooden chair with the same line underneath. "Take it today. Back door still open." I stared at that for a long time. At one point, I even wondered if it was some kind of weird scam. Maybe the guy would pretend to not be home and rob whoever walked in. But that didn't explain the footsteps, or the timing of the lights cutting out, or how fast he had posted a new listing, as if he was waiting for someone else to come by that same night. The next morning, I told one of my roommates what happened. He laughed at first, thought I was exaggerating. But when I showed him the second listing, he stopped smiling. "Dude, report that," he said. "That's literally their house. They want people going inside." I did report it, but Craigslist doesn't exactly have a fast response time, so the post stayed up for most of the day. By the evening, the listing disappeared. Then another one appeared. Same account, same address, another free item. The title this time was, "Still Available, Door Open." That one hit me hard. It felt specific, like whoever was posting these wanted me to see them. I stopped checking Craigslist after that. 2 days passed. I still couldn't shake the feeling that the whole thing wasn't over. Every time I got home from class, I would glance at my window, making sure it was still locked. I even started double-checking the back door, even though I lived on the second floor. I kept thinking about the moment I was standing in that house, the silence, the way the footsteps started only after the lights went out, the way they stopped the moment I moved toward the exit. Someone knew I was there. Someone was upstairs. On the third day, I got a text from an unknown number. No name, no greeting, just, "You didn't take it." I froze. My stomach felt like it dropped. I didn't respond. A minute later, another message came in. "It's still here." I blocked the number instantly. I told myself it could have been a coincidence, maybe a scammer, maybe someone messing with me. But deep down I knew. That house, that listing, the footsteps upstairs, it all lined up too perfectly. I didn't want to admit it, but I knew someone from that house had my number. And if they had my number, there was no reason they couldn't have watched me pull into the driveway. No reason they couldn't have watched me leave. I tried convincing myself that blocking the number would be the end of it. But the next message didn't come through text. It came through email, my school email. The subject line was empty. The message said, "Come back." Seeing that email hit way different than the texts. My phone number could have been scraped from Craigslist. But my school email? That wasn't public anywhere. It wasn't linked to my name on any account. The only place it existed was in my classes in the student portal. I didn't respond. I didn't even open the email for more than a second. I deleted it, then emptied the trash folder, then changed my password just in case. For the next week, nothing else happened. No messages, no new listings, no weird emails. But every night I kept seeing that house in my mind. The cracked open door, the silence, the footsteps. I couldn't shake the thought that the person upstairs wasn't surprised at all to hear someone in the house, like they were expecting it, like it was normal for them. On the 8th day, around 3 a.m, I woke up to a sound outside my apartment. It wasn't loud, just a soft, uneven tapping. I figured it was someone coming home late or a raccoon messing with the dumpsters. Then it happened again. Closer. This time, it wasn't outside. It was on the stairs leading up to my floor. I sat up, holding my breath. The tapping stopped for a long moment, and then started again. Slow, uneven, like someone dragging their hand along the railing as they climbed. I was in bed, frozen, staring at my door like it would break at any second. I listened as the steps made their way up to the landing. And then, silence. A full minute passed, then another. Eventually, I forced myself to check the peephole. No one was there. The hallway was empty. The next morning, I found a folded piece of paper slid under our apartment door. No envelope, no writing on the outside. I opened it with the corner of my shoe. Inside, the whole thing held only one sentence: "Back door still open." My hands went numb when I read it. That was the exact title of the second listing, the one that appeared right after I ran from the house. I didn't go to class that day. I went straight to campus police and handed the paper over. They asked questions, took notes, and said they'd look into it, but I could tell they didn't think it was serious. They said it might be a prank, maybe someone who saw me checking Craigslist on campus Wi-Fi. I wanted to believe them. I tried to believe them. But that night, the original Craigslist account posted again. Another free item, same address, and the description said, "Someone took the wrong one, need the same person back." I didn't touch the listing, didn't refresh the page, didn't go near anything from that account again. I never heard back from campus police. But the listing stopped. So did the messages. The tapping outside my door never happened again. To this day, I don't know who was upstairs in that house. I don't know how they got my email. I don't know how they found my apartment. All I know is this: someone in that house wasn't giving away free furniture. They were waiting for someone to walk inside, and I still think sometimes late at night that the only reason I'm here to talk about it is because I didn't take the desk. My name is Emily, and this happened when I was looking for my first place after moving out of the dorms. Rent near my campus was insanely expensive, so I turned to Craigslist, hoping I'd get lucky and find a room in a shared house that wouldn't eat my entire paycheck. After a week of searching, I found a listing that seemed almost too good to be real. 4-bedroom house, clean photos, quiet neighborhood, and the rent was less than half of what other places were charging. The description said, "Just looking for someone quiet." That was it. No long paragraphs, no weird rules, just that one line. I emailed the owner, asking if I could come see the place. He replied within seconds, literally seconds, with, "Yes. Send a photo so the other tenants know who to expect." It struck me as strange, but I assumed he wanted to verify I wasn't some sketchy person off the internet. So I sent a basic selfie. Nothing fancy, just me sitting in my car. He replied immediately, "That's perfect." There was something off about how fast he responded, like he was waiting for my email in real time. But the pictures of the house looked normal enough, and I needed a place by the end of the month, so I tried not to overthink it. Then he sent another message. "Can you send one standing in the hallway of your current place? I need to see your posture. Helps me pick compatible tenants." I just stared at that line. What did posture have to do with renting a room? I told him no. Another instant reply came through. "I've already seen you before. I know you'll fit." My stomach dropped. I wrote back, "What does that mean?" No answer. For the rest of the night, I kept checking my phone, expecting some explanation, some clarification, but nothing came. It was like he typed that last message and just set the phone down. The next morning, my friend Mia came over and I told her everything. She thought it sounded creepy too, so she tried messaging the same listing but pretended to be someone else. She asked if the room was still available. The guy replied to her just as fast as he did to me. But the first message he sent her wasn't a greeting. It wasn't a rental question. It wasn't even neutral. It was, "Your friend walks better." The second she showed me that, my entire body went cold. I had never mentioned Mia to him. I had never said I was with anyone, and he somehow knew we were together. We blocked the email at the same time. I thought that would be the end of it. I really did. But later that night, the listing disappeared. And less than an hour later, a new one appeared from the same account. New title, same photos, same house. The description was different this time. Looking for someone quiet. Prefer the one who walks right. I didn't sleep that night. For the next couple of days, I kept checking Craigslist to see if he posted again. I don't know why. I didn't want the room anymore, obviously, but I couldn't shake the feeling that the listing wasn't about renting a place at all. It felt like a trap someone had set very carefully and very intentionally. Every time I refreshed the page, that new listing was still there. Same house, same price, the same blurry interior photos, but the description wouldn't stop replaying in my head. Prefer the one who walks right. I didn't know what that meant. I didn't want to know what that meant. By the third day, the listing had finally disappeared, and for a moment, I felt relief. Like maybe the account got flagged, or maybe whoever posted it got bored and moved on. That night, around 11 p.m., I got an email notification on my phone. No subject line. Just a single message from an address I didn't recognize. It said, "I don't like the new people. They don't move the same." I didn't respond. I sat frozen on my bed, reading that sentence over and over again. There was no way he could know where I lived or how I moved. There was no reason anyone would send me something like that accidentally. Then another email arrived. "Are you still looking for a room?" I didn't reply to that one either. Mia stayed over that night because I was too scared to sleep alone. We pushed a dresser against the door and left the TV on. Around 2 in the morning, I heard something, like light tapping on the wall behind my bed, not knocking, just tapping. Rhythmic, like someone testing the drywall. Mia heard it too. She sat up and looked at me. "You hear that, right?" she whispered. I nodded but didn't move. Neither of us spoke for the next few minutes. The tapping went on, then stopped, then started again on the opposite wall, like someone was tracing a path. I don't know how long we stayed awake listening to it. Eventually it stopped completely, and after a few hours of silence, we both passed out from exhaustion. The next morning, while Mia was brushing her teeth, I checked my email. Another message was waiting. This one was shorter. "Found you." I didn't even let it load fully before deleting it. My hands were shaking so badly I nearly dropped my phone. Mia tried to calm me down, but I couldn't stop thinking about how the tapping seemed to move around my room, how it started after the emails, how the messages kept referencing movement and the way people walked. Mia suggested we go to campus security. I agreed. When we showed them the emails, they said they couldn't trace anything without legal steps. They only told me to block the address and to be careful about what I posted online. I blocked everything connected to him, the email, the Craigslist account, even random numbers just in case. But that didn't stop it. That night, another listing went up. Same house, same photos, same tagline at the top. Looking for someone quiet. Except this time, the description was different. Already picked one, need her to come by. When I read that line, my chest tightened so hard I could barely breathe. It didn't say a roommate. It didn't say a tenant. It said picked one. And I had this horrible sinking feeling he wasn't talking about a room at all. After seeing that new listing, I didn't want to stay in my apartment another second. Mia didn't either. We packed overnight bags and went straight to her place. I kept telling myself he couldn't possibly know who I was, where I lived, or what building I was in. The logical part of my brain kept repeating that. But deep down, I didn't believe it anymore. The way he wrote those messages, the timing, the tapping on the walls. It all felt too precise. For the next 2 days, I didn't go back to my apartment. I barely checked my phone except to text my professors. I avoided Craigslist completely. I didn't want to see any more listings from him. But on the third night, while Mia and I were watching TV, I got an email notification. My stomach dropped the moment I saw the preview text. It said, "You can stay with her. I see both of you." I didn't open it. I didn't need to. The fact that he somehow referenced where I was staying, without me posting anything, without me responding, without me giving any details, made everything sink in a way it hadn't before. I wasn't just being watched online. Someone was watching me in real life. Mia called her older brother, who came over immediately. He checked the outside of the house, walked the neighborhood, and kept watch while we tried to calm down. Around midnight, he told us to come look at something he found. Against the side of the house, near a window leading into the living room, someone had left a crumpled flyer. He hadn't touched it yet. He noticed it while checking the perimeter. It was a printed-out screenshot of the original Craigslist listing. The roommate wanted one. The one with my picture attached. Except the only part visible wasn't the photo. It was the line. "Just looking for someone quiet." Someone had scribbled underneath it in pen, "Already chose you." I felt sick when I saw it. We called the local police this time instead of campus security. They came, took the flyer, asked us questions, and wrote a report. They said they would patrol the neighborhood for a few nights but couldn't guarantee anything unless we had a suspect or more evidence. That didn't exactly reassure me. After the police left, Mia's brother insisted we get some rest, but I couldn't. Every time the house creaked or the wind hit the siding, I jumped. I kept imagining someone standing outside in the dark, watching the windows, waiting for the moment I'd step out alone. The next morning, I finally forced myself to log into Craigslist one last time, just to see if the listing was still up. It wasn't, but a new one was. Same account, same house photos. The title said, "Room Filled," and the description read, "Got the one I wanted." There was no mention of rent, no request for a roommate, no price, just those words. I flagged the listing and closed the tab immediately. I never opened Craigslist again, not once. A few days later, campus police emailed me saying the account had been suspended after multiple reports. They suggested I be cautious and stay in well-lit areas, but that was it. No real answers. I never heard from the person again. No more emails, no more tapping, no more listings. But I still think about the messages he sent, about how he asked for pictures of me standing, about how he talked about movement and posture like it meant something important to him. And the worst part is that I don't know what he wanted from me, only that he thought he'd already chosen me. And if Mia hadn't stayed with me that night, I don't like thinking about what might have happened. My name's Josh, and this happened when I was 24. I collect old cameras as a hobby, film cameras mostly. Sometimes I get lucky on Craigslist, sometimes I don't. But one night, I found a post that seemed like the deal of a lifetime. A vintage film camera in almost perfect condition for a fraction of what it should have cost. The seller insisted on meeting at their house. He claimed it was too heavy to transport, which didn't make sense for a small handheld camera, but I ignored it. I was too excited to care. When I arrived, the house was an older ranch-style home, the kind where the paint is peeling slightly and the curtains are always closed. The man who answered the door was older, maybe in his 60s. He smiled, but there was something wrong about it. Too wide, too slow, almost frozen. He handed me the camera immediately, like he wanted me to take it and leave as fast as possible. I inspected it. The camera worked perfectly. It even had a roll of film still inside. I mentioned it, and he said casually, "You should get that developed soon. You'll want to see what's on it before you bring it home." I laughed nervously. "Sure, I'll do that." I didn't realize how literal his warning would be. That night, I loaded the roll into my old Canon and shot a few test photos around my apartment. The camera seemed fine, nothing unusual, but when I got the film developed the next day, I noticed something strange. The photos were of a house that looked almost identical to mine. Same layout, same furniture placement, but the angles were strange. They were taken from high corners, from ceilings, even from behind door frames. I thought it was a fluke. Maybe the previous owner had left some undeveloped shots, but the last photo made my blood run cold. It wasn't my apartment, it was the seller's house, and it was taken through the windows of my car, from the back seat. I had no idea how it could have happened. I didn't leave the camera in my car. I didn't leave the roll inside while driving, and yet somehow the film captured an image of him, looking at my car through his window. I didn't sleep that night. The next morning, I tried to rationalize what happened. Maybe it was a coincidence. Maybe the house just looked similar and the camera angle made it weird. But the last photo, that one didn't lie. There was no mistaking it. Someone had taken a picture of my car through the window from inside the seller's house. I didn't know what to do. I thought about contacting the seller, but something in my gut screamed no. I didn't know this man. I didn't know if he was dangerous. I just knew I had to be careful. For a few days, I avoided driving anywhere that could be seen by the house. I parked in different lots or stayed off my usual route and kept my apartment door locked. Still, I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Then, one evening, while developing another roll from the same camera, I noticed subtle changes. There were tiny objects in the background of the shots, objects that didn't belong in my apartment. A book on the counter I hadn't placed, a chair slightly moved. At first, I thought it was my imagination, but it kept happening, frame after frame. The last photo I developed that night showed something that made me drop the envelope. Outside my window, in the reflection of the glass, I could see him standing across the street. Same hooded jacket, same posture from the camera's first roll, watching, not moving, not blinking, just standing. I froze. My hands shook so badly I could barely hold the film. I called my best friend, Sam, and told him what happened. He tried to calm me down, said I was probably overthinking it. But when I told him about the photo, the one of the reflection, he went quiet. "You need to go somewhere else for a few days," he said. "Don't touch that camera. Don't develop anything else." I did exactly that. I packed the camera into a box, locked it in my car, and left my apartment that night. I stayed at Sam's for 3 days. No messages, no strange reflections. I thought maybe it was over. Maybe I'd just stumbled onto a weird coincidence. Then, on the third night, Sam woke me up. He said there was someone standing across the street from his apartment, not moving, not doing anything, just standing, watching. Hood pulled low, shoulders tense. I recognized him immediately. It was the same man from the camera sale. I didn't sleep that night. Sam and I stayed away from the windows until sunrise. When we finally worked up the nerve to look again, the man was gone. No footprints in the snow, no tire tracks, nothing. Like he'd evaporated. At that point, I couldn't just ignore it anymore. I needed answers. Against every logical instinct, I decided to go back to the seller's house in broad daylight. I didn't tell Sam. I knew he would have tried to talk me out of it. The house looked even more run down than I remembered. Curtains drawn, mailbox overflowing, dead leaves piled in the driveway. I knocked once. No answer. Knocked again. Still nothing. But the door wasn't fully closed. A small crack showed darkness inside. I pushed it open and called out. No movement, no sound. The interior looked abandoned, dust on the floors, empty shelves, furniture covered in sheets. It felt impossible. I had just been here, hadn't I? I walked deeper inside, calling his name, but there was only silence. Then I saw the photos, dozens of them, pinned across a corkboard on the hallway wall. All of them were of me. Me walking to my car, me carrying groceries, me leaving work, me sitting in my apartment through my living room window. One photo was taken from inside my place, looking out. My stomach dropped. Someone had been in my apartment. Right beneath it were more. Shots of my bedroom door, slightly open, my kitchen, late at night, my face as I slept. The last photo on the board made me step back. It was taken from Sam's apartment window. Taken last night. My phone buzzed suddenly. It was a message from an unknown number. Do not touch the camera. I dropped the phone and bolted out of the house. I didn't care about the camera anymore. I didn't care about what he wanted or why he was watching me. I just drove away as fast as I could. I called Sam immediately and told him to meet me at the police station. We explained everything. The photos, the stalking, the abandoned house. Officers went to check it out. The house was empty, completely empty. No furniture, no corkboard, no photos, not even dust. They said it looked like no one had lived there in a long time. The camera, of course, was gone from my trunk. For weeks I expected something to happen. Another photo, another sighting, another message. But nothing. It just stopped. I still think about it sometimes. How the film showed things before they happened. How he knew where I was going before I did. How he always seemed one step ahead. I don't buy cameras off Craigslist anymore. I don't buy anything off Craigslist anymore. And every time I see a reflection in a window, I check twice, just to make sure there isn't someone standing behind me, holding a camera, waiting for the next shot.